Hey, business owners, would you like to stop worrying about how to hire and retain the best employees? No more headaches? Hello, would that be valuable to you? And just think about all the time that you could free up so you could focus on achieving your strategic goals in your business instead of feeling stuck trying to figure out all the day-to-day operational hassles of hiring and retaining the best employees. Well, if that would be valuable to you, you are in for a real treat because today we are joined by the amazing Nicole. Okay, I'm going to see if I can get your name right here. Phommanorat. Did I get that right, Nicole?
Very close. Yes.
Phommanorat. Okay, awesome. And she's going to guide us through how you can do exactly that. So I'm awesome Angie Ingstrom, honoring the awesomeness in you.
And I'm Keita Asgard. And once again, a big welcome, Nicole. We are so excited to have you. So, yeah,
Thank you.
welcome. Okay, now some of our audience, they might not know who Nicole is. So I'm just going to do a short bio. Nicole is a strategic talent acquisition and human resource expert with over a decade of experience in high volume hourly and salaried hiring. And she has successfully staffed over 200 new restaurant openings. Quite a lot. Nicole is also the founder of We Thrive HR, where she helps companies retain and find new employees, optimize the people processes, and build thriving, inclusive workplaces. So amazing. So once again, a big welcome, Nicole, and let's get started.
Thank
Woohoo.
you.
Yeah.
Excited to.
So welcome to Momentum Makeup Podcast. And I'd love to hear in your words, Nicole, just a quick 10 seconds, like what your business is.
Yep. I help small businesses hire and retain top talent. My goal is to help create sustainable environments where I can guide them to do that, and then they can take the reins, make their strategies work for them, and continue to grow and thrive.
All right. I would love to hear how you got into that. That is really I'd love to hear that story. So tell us about how did you find this niche?
Yeah, so I spent almost 14 years in staffing or operations in the restaurant industry, food manufacturing industry, and then also like childcare development. And throughout my time there, I got to be in operations and I got to be the hiring manager and have to run the business while still trying to find people and be that person with a lot of hats. And I transitioned into a human resources role where I started finding people to work in these brick and mortar businesses. And my job there was strategically finding people all over the country. And I did that through job platforms and hosting events, colleges, community involvement. I got all these different outlets that we used to drive business or drive traffic, rather, applicant traffic to these small businesses or businesses. And I did that for a really long time. And I always did that for a larger company. So that's where the 200 restaurants come in, because when you have a large franchise of restaurants, you're growing, you can open very quickly. I opened 64 locations in the last place I worked as a director of talent acquisition, and we did that in less than 12 months. That's a ton of people to hire. And we had strategy like down. So I've always been really good at finding people. And for me, my job was just to find them and kind of drop them in the hands of the operator and say, here you go, teach them how to do everything and, grow your business or, make money, do whatever. So then they would lose people again and they'd say, oh, we need help, 911, we're on fire. So we'd swoop back in again and drop more people on their doorstep, and they'd hire them, and then hopefully they would retain them, and the cycle would go on and on. So as I decided to start my own business, I was doing that for small businesses. I was going in and hiring people for them, building their recruitment strategies, making sure their systems were right and optimized. And I do very well doing that. I still do that for companies that need that. But But then I started talking to smaller business owners, and they can't afford to have somebody like me come in and spend $25,000, $50,000 a year on this recruiting strategy service and still be able to keep the doors open. Like sometimes they're just trying to make sure they make payroll. So I was trying to find a way that I could make it accessible to everybody who needed it, because there was a big need. Like anytime you go out to eat or you go out and about, you see these now hiring signs all over. And sometimes they're done well, but most of the time they're not done well. I was actually at a coffee shop at a networking event last week, and they had this sign. It was just handwritten, and it said, need cashiers and dishwasher. And it was stuck on the door, but it's really hard to find the place because it's around the corner. So there was no access to the street. You couldn't see it. You drive by and you wouldn't even see the coffee shop, let alone the sign they had on the door. It's a really great coffee shop. They have amazing, coffee there, but if you weren't walking up to that door, you wouldn't see it. So I want to be able to reach people like that, because it's not a lack of effort. It's that they're doing the best they can, and they're not a subject matter expert in recruiting. They've got so many hats on, and for recruitment, there's a skills gap, and I want to help fill that skills gap, because they have great businesses that, deserve to have people there to dine with them and drink their coffee and, go and do whatever they're doing or selling. And it's not fair that they can't afford that. So I wanted to make it as accessible as possible.
I really love that concept about making it easier for business owners. I really love that. I was sort of thinking, do you have a process? Well, when you work with your clients, do you have a specific process you go through, or is it more individual, or how do you work with your clients? Would you talk a little about that?
Yeah, so with the process for smaller businesses, I have a process that enables them to do the work, but have me as a guide. So I teach them, if we're going to set up an interview guide, these are the questions we want to ask based off of your company's mission, their values, what are you trying to achieve? And I help them go through that process of making sure that they have the right criteria for their interview guides. I'm not going to go in and interview everybody for them, but we're going to get it set up together and make sure that it's, we're strategically picking the right things to ask at those interviews. We also go through employer branding, and we talk about, like, what are you doing now? What can we do that's affordable to help you get out there better? Like, if you don't have money right now for this amazing signage, what can we do that's either free or easier, to get your name out there, but still be affordable? We go through all sorts of stuff. Sourcing, how are they advertising their jobs? I can look online and find anybody's business essentially by looking, on a Google search or going on Indeed and searching. How easy is it for candidates to find you? So it's tailored to each person's business, but it is a framework that we go through. So I have an 8-week asynchronous course that I have my clients go through. And that's just so when we have conversations to help make sure that they're on track and getting things right, they understand what I'm talking about. And it's not as much of a, hey, let me explain this to you and then figure it out. It helps kind of get them up to speed and see, while we're doing it, like the why behind everything. It's a lot more meaningful, I feel, when they understand why they're doing something, than just having me drop an interview guide and job descriptions and job postings, in their lap and saying, okay, put these up and you'll find people. I want them to do the work. So when they don't have me there, they can still make adjustments and be strategic and be sustainably staffing their stores without having to hire additional help.
When you say small business, about what size would you say that would be?
It just depends. You can be a full service fine dining restaurant and have 120 employees work there and just be one location. You can be a quick casual restaurant with 30 employees or a coffee shop with 5 employees. I mean, I can help all of those people. If you, I don't know, own an HVAC company and you need technicians to service air conditioning units, that's a specific skilled labor. You may only have 15 technicians. One of my clients that I recently helped, they were about 200 employees. So they didn't have a recruitment, they didn't have a recruiter on staff, and they were just relying on their HR generalist to figure things out. And the HR generalists, they're amazing at what they do, but they're very much compliance based and not necessarily understanding the behavior patterns of what a candidate does when they look for work. So you'll be staying compliant, but they're not always making the best decisions based off of how to get in front of the candidate. So I helped them build strategy, and I taught that person how to do it themselves. And they're doing a really great job. They've hired over 24 people this year so far. And yeah, they're doing great. So it varies. If you need people, I can help you.
Okay, so when you teach them these strategies, so they can actually afterwards, when they're not working with you anymore, they can just keep using these strategies.
Yes, so it's the 8-week asynchronous course. And then with that course, I offer 6 months of support where we can get on 30-minute Zoom call and troubleshoot whatever they're going through. They can say, hey, I posted this job, I'm not getting candidates, you know, what can I tweak to make it better? Or, you know, let's run some searches together to see, are we using the right keywords? And we talk about that for however long it takes. And they try it and they let me know. They can email me and say, hey, that didn't work. What should we try next? And I want to support them so they're sustainably able to continue that on their own. After the 6 months, if they still want continued support, I do offer it on like a monthly basis. It's just a small retainer, so where they have access to Zoom calls and email contact with me to help them.
I love that you're
It sounds
filling
so.
this gap. It's a gap in the marketplace that you've been able to fill. I
Yeah.
love that. Because there's a lot of big, well, and I'm not versed in the whole recruiting. You know, when I think of recruiting, I'm thinking of all the big name, you know, I don't know, what are some of the big name job things.
Yeah.
So this is interesting to me. This is I love this because you're educating us on something that I didn't even know existed. This is fantastic.
Yeah, and I think the hard part on selling the process is it doesn't seem hard to find people. I mean, when you go on Indeed, they take you through this process of, hey, this is how you do it. And you click here, you push next, and you fill out this information, and you push next, and you push next. And by the time you're done pushing next, you've posted your job, and now you have to wait for your candidates. But all of the fields that you fill out, if you don't fill them out the right way, you're not targeting the right candidate. And that's where it gets hard. Or you're not giving your candidate the ability to find you because you're not using the right platform. So it really just depends. And as a really good example for that, you can say you have a restaurant. One of the restaurants I worked for, they had a position called a service assistant. A service assistant is essentially a busser. They work in the dining room, they clear dishes, they help deliver food, they'll bring you your basket of bread or chips or whatever, fill your drinks if you need it. That's just what they're doing. They're helping assist the wait staff. Now you need to hire that person and you put in your job posting, I'm looking for a service assistant. The people who are searching for jobs and type in service assistant, they are the people who are helping you at the car dealership get your car in for service, or they're working at insurance companies helping you sell or buy insurance. They're service assistants in different areas. So if you're posting service assistant, the people searching for service assistants probably don't want to be bussers in a restaurant. Whereas if you type in busser or team member or restaurant, you're going to come up with types of jobs that fall into those categories. And you'll see the job for the busser / service assistant, or however you want to do that. And it's like that a lot in a lot of different places. They're not putting the right terms, or they have really great terms, or titles, and they make sense internally, but they don't translate to the job seeker well. So I help make sure that they have those things right, but then they also know how to research to make sure it's right. Because job board algorithms change all the time, just like social media algorithms change all the time. And Indeed today isn't what Indeed was 5 years ago or 10 years ago. So when things change, you have to be able to change with them. So if I teach them how to do it today, a year from now, it might not be working as well as it did when I showed them, but at least they know how to go through the process of figuring out, what can I do now to try something different?
Oh, I'm so glad I said that and had you. That was wonderful. Oh my goodness. Indeed, that's one of them I was trying to think of. Yeah, so that's called it, like, Indeed. Like, okay, I'm ground level here. So Indeed would be called a job board.
Yes.
And there's others out there. And so you use those job boards, and you're kind of the liaison helping these small businesses navigate those platforms.
Yeah, I teach them how to use them the right way, how to take advantage of the resources that they have. Indeed's a really great company, and they offer a ton of free information, but also free ways to brand your business that you don't pay for. But if you don't know about them, you're not taking advantage of them. So I also teach that in the course. How do you capitalize on the things that you don't have to pay for, that get your name out there and tell your story the way you want it told, not the way somebody else wants to tell it when you get a bad review, or they're reviewing your business and they had great service. Like, you want to be able to control your story, and you do that through these platforms. You can tell everybody why you're so awesome, and it's free, which is awesome, because small businesses need to make sure that they're smart about their spending habits.
Yeah, I love these little nuggets you're putting in here, Nicole. That's amazing. And yeah, I totally agree that it's sort of like you're filling in a gap in the market, and making it so much easier for many entrepreneurs, small entrepreneurs. So when you're talking to people and they don't end up working with you, what would the reason often be?
Sometimes they feel like they want to try it themselves. When I do a strategy audit, what I do is I look at their employment branding, and I look at, if I'm looking for a job and I live in this area, and let's say, I don't know, it's an HVAC company and I want to be a technician there. I'm going to search certain parameters because I'm going to be willing to drive maybe 10 miles to work. I'm going to put that in, and I'm going to say I have refrigerant experience. How easy is it to find you? If I can't find you, then the candidate can't find you either. So when I show them that, they're like, oh, I can fix that. Let me fix it right here. I got it and I'm good. That was like one thing you had to fix. So I've had people say, hey, I'm not ready yet. I'll let you know when I'm ready. And they've come back later, and I've helped them. I don't mind giving people free advice. So it's usually a money thing. Like, it's tight and it's hard to get it. So the way I priced it is, it's essentially the cost of replacing one hourly hire. So if you can hire and keep people, then it pays for itself. So yeah.
Nice.
That's brilliant. Oh my goodness. Wow, Nicole, I'm so glad that you shared with us today. This is fantastic. Is there anything else you want to share as we're wrapping this up?
I'm trying to think. I think we talked a lot about pretty much everything. The only other thing I would really say is the course is asynchronous. So when you're wearing a lot of cats, you don't always have time to do everything on the schedule of somebody who works from home and wants to work 9 to 5, or, as close to that schedule as possible. So I have the course set up to where it's easily digestible and you can do it at your own pace. I have it broke down into weeks. So if your week, you take it and you do it at 3 o'clock in the morning because that works for your schedule, that's great. we'll schedule a time that works well for you to meet in that 2-week block, and we'll go over everything. So it's very much a program where it's designed specifically for operators to be as convenient as possible. And beyond that, there's a ton of resources that I provide. I'm providing templates, different models and infographics that are just takeaways. It's theirs to keep for the rest of the time they want to be on the platform or have it saved in their documents. I also help with making sure that they're being compliant with federal labor laws, and making sure that they're following the law in their state. So I'm not necessarily going in and showing them, hey, this is what you have to do, but I'm showing them this is where you find the information, and I'm providing that for them, and making sure if you're hiring minors, like, these are the things you need to consider. Here are the resources for that. So making sure that they see the bigger picture and they're mitigating risk by going through the program and thinking of things they wouldn't normally think about. I've seen a lot of crazy things happen in hourly hiring, and it's not because, you know, people are trying to do the wrong thing or, you know, break the law quietly. It's because they just they don't know better, or they are so excited that they found this great person and they don't realize this person's not 18 and can't serve alcohol or can't work past this time or whatever, and end up breaking the law. So that's a big part of the course too, is making sure that they understand how to mitigate risks and make better decisions for their business. And then also I include things like workplace harassment training, and making sure that they understand that when you do interview people, there's certain questions that you can and can't ask. And we go through a ton of that, and just giving examples of, if you see somebody who's pregnant and they come in for an interview, you can't ask them when they're due. You can't ask them, what are your plans after the baby? Like, you have to follow the law, and I show them how to do that and where the resources are. So it's more than just, this is how you hire somebody. It's also how to mitigate risk and make sure that you're providing a safe place where people are going to want to learn, grow, and stay.
I think it's beautiful. Oh my goodness. Now,
Yeah.
one other question I have for you is, like, what state, does it matter what state somebody's in? Like, are a lot of this can go across state lines, or you primarily work in US, I would imagine?
I'm able to help anybody in the United States. All of the information that I provide as far as mitigating risk is resources available per state, but then also federal resources. So the federal is the minimum when it comes to like labor laws and employment law, and then states will go above and beyond that. So if you're in Colorado, I make sure that you have all the resources to figure out what you need in Colorado. I'm not going to tell you that because I'm not a lawyer, and I'm not your business. I don't own your business, but I'll give you the resources so you have them to look for, you know, ways to do what you need to do. So I can work all 50 states.
Excellent. Okay, good to know. Yeah, good to know. All right, what do you got, Gee?
Yeah, I was just I was just thinking, some people might think it's easy to hire people, and Nicole, you're sort of just pinpointing all of the pitfalls, and I just love this because it's pure gold. So thank you so much for doing that.
Oh, you're welcome.
Now if people you know, there might be some potential clients out there, and if they're thinking, how can I reach Nicole? What's the next step? What would you say?
Book a call with me. I give free hiring strategy audits, and it's a 30-minute call where I look at what you currently have, and we talk about what are your goals and what are your pain points. And if I can solve all your problems in 30 minutes for free, I'm good with that. That's the goal, is to be able to help small businesses. But if you can get, you know, something out of the course, and it's going to be what you need to, you know, push your business forward and change the game for you, then we go over options on how I can help you. And there's a ton of options as far as making it affordable and paying for it and all that stuff. So we talk about all of that, and the links for that, you can find it on my LinkedIn page. It's on my website, which is wethrivecollective.com, and you can link it. I'll make sure you have the link for that. And yeah, super easy. It's a 30-minute call scheduled at pretty much your convenience, and we'll see what we can do to help you.
Thank you so much. Such a great offer. And it's wethrivecollective.com.
Correct.
Yes, perfect. Okay, thank you so much for joining us today, Nicole. It's been enlightening to me, at least, because there were so many things I wasn't aware of. So thank you so much for sharing. And yeah, let's wrap it up, Angie. I'm Gira Adgar.
And I'm Awesome Angie, honoring the awesomeness in all of you. Once again, Nicole, thank you. Gold nuggets. Oh my goodness. Especially for someone not versed in hiring and recruiting and retaining. And thank you. Appreciate it very much. So thank you, listeners out there, for listening. I encourage you to keep your momentum, keep moving forward. And thanks for listening to Momentum Maker Podcast. And if you happen to be a course creator spending too much time selling one-on-one and you're ready to condense time and start selling one-to-many, then open up a tab on your browser and go to elitevirtualstages.com/blueprint and learn how you can turn your expertise into a 6 or even 7-figure day. Oh yeah, that's what I said, day, using live transformational virtual masterclasses. Thanks once again, Nicole. Thanks for listening, everybody.